What's up? What's up? What's up, everyone? It's your girl Ton, and let's talk about Pride Month. Now, next month, today is the 29th, and I'm recording this video, is Pride Month. Now, although there are some states that recognize Pride Month for different in different months, uh, this June, July, or June is typically the official month of Pride. And so here in Kansas City, we celebrate Pride typically around the third, fourth, fifth, somewhere around there. It's earlier on in the month. Like I said, different states. I know that there's one state that uh, celebrates Pride like in the fall. But at any rate, the time is here, right? Now, for those who don't know, Pride kind of started or officially started back in like 69, right? With the whole Stonewall riot. And from what I understand, it was basically like gay men that kind of started. I think it was like in New York City, like Greenwich Village or something along those lines, right? And at that point, it was just pretty much saying, hey, gay people are here, chill out, relax. Like, quit tripping. We're here. We just want to have fun. We just, whatever. I know that at some point it became a riot and all of that foolishness, right? However, over the period of time, pride and the thought process and the energy of pride has evolved, right? Now, again, initially it was to show like the gay folks exist, right? Gay folks exist, and that as humans, we deserve human rights, right? And then that kind of evolved into just the celebration of those who are in alignment with what you're doing, right? It was kind of a socialization on still kind of fighting for human rights, which really doesn't make sense to me, right? And it was a time for, because a lot of times family members and friends didn't understand the gay experience. And I mean, that's fine because you're not going to really understand something that you're not, right? And so Pride was a time to come together, hang out, kick it, socialize with family, right? Now it's kind of become, in my opinion, kind of toxic and problematic, right? I remember my first Pride here in Kansas City. It was, I don't know, probably like around 2012, maybe. And, Kansas City, I guess at that point they really hadn't been having a whole bunch of Pride. So it was kind of whack. It really was, just to be real honest. But it was my first one and I loved it. It was really, at that point, a big concert that you had the drag queens performing on stage, and then they had music. They had just a few vendors, but the energy of it was really cool. You know what I mean? It was really cool. You could tell that everybody was just socializing. I've never been to a pride where people like get into a fight or is along those lines. Everybody is just cool. Everybody is just kind of cool and happy to be among people who's not going to judge them, not going to look at them weird. It's not going to make them feel a certain kind of way because they don't understand the lifestyle. And it was really like going to one big family picnic, party, what have you. I remember my very first Pride that there were young kids there. And by young, I would say, probably young teenagers, right? There wasn't no children there, like under like 11 to 12. But there may have been some like 13-year-olds and up that was there. But the environment was that of like what do you call it? Well, I guess carnival without all of stuff that goes on at a carnival. It was really just people walking around in a field, listening to music, watching the drag queens perform on the stage, and buying like food and drink, right? So it wasn't anything sexual. It wasn't anything outrageous. It wasn't anything inappropriate. There were a few guys who had on like some outrageous outfits, but they weren't naked, right? So my very first one. Now I know that in other states, prides were off the chain where they had the parades, and I think at one point they had parades here. I'm not really certain what happened with that. Um, I think, well, I think now they still do have the parade. I'm trying to think. I never go to the parades. I never went to the parades. I just went to the actual festival. Um, but I mean, overall, it was a fun environment because I had a women's group and we all kind of socialized around each other. We set up our chairs, and the Pride here evolved over time, where they ended up getting more performers. The vendors, the last Pride that I went to, which was before the pandemic, it was so many vendors. It was bananas. It really was a good setup. It really was a good. Now I do know that what was it last year that I did not go? Someone stole the stage. Now, how the hell you steal a damn stage is beyond me. And what are you gonna do with a stage? I don't know. But yeah, but that didn't stop them. That didn't stop them from going ahead and doing Pride, which I'm glad it did because that's weird and whack as hell. Um, but like I was saying, I know other states they just go all out. They close down all of the streets, and it's just really one ginormous celebration, right? And I think nobody really, well, I was about to say nobody has an issue with that, but of course, there's always people that have issues with that, right? And I do remember that my last Pride that I went to here, uh, there was some church people that was on the corner screaming. Now, to me, that is weird as fuck. It's not like that Pride was held by a church on church property. You purposely and intentionally went to a location to harass people who ain't fucking with you. That I think that personally should be against the law. I really do. I really, really think that that should be against the law because you're trespassing, in my opinion, even though it was private property, and I guess that's the reason why. And I did see videos of people, women that were kissing in front of them. I think someone actually pushed them or punched them. It was just, and I think that that's unnecessary. I don't think that should be allowed. Just like I don't think that uh, gays should go to the churches and start pooping each other. Like if you know that that's something that they deal with, then why harass them? So vice versa. If you're in a church and you know that these people are doing what everything that you say that you're against, why why try to force people to do something that they don't want to do? That's harassment. I think that's bad. But anyway, uh, the prides here, like I said, have evolved and they've gotten much better, right? And each year they grow and grow and grow. Uh, the shows grow, the crowds grow, the vendors grow. Here they had a BDSM section, right? It wasn't just all over the place, it was a section. And, I can say that the Pride here, at least the last Pride I went to, seemingly was not problematic, right? My issue is that in other states, there seems to be a lack of respect for the children. Now, here's my thing. In essence, Pride is a celebration of people that's not having sex openly in public, right? It's a celebration of people just having fun. In some states, there are sexually explicit activities going on. right? So, and I've said this before in another video, if you have sexually explicit situations going on, children should not be allowed, and parents should not be allowed to bring their children. Now, if it is just people like at a fair, and the drag queens are just dancing, they're not stripping or anything like that, like here in Kansas City, Friday and Saturday is a turn up day where everybody turns up, but I've never seen anyone really walking around naked. Now, there was this one girl who had a mesh top on. And when I say mesh, you can see, and it was the big holes where, titties were just everywhere. Now, I personally, as an adult, as a lesbian, didn't have any issue with that. Um, and she looked like she was of age, but young, right? That was really the only nakedness I have seen. But nakedness doesn't equate to sexuality, but I still think that we need to manage. Now, pride to me, in and of itself, is an adult situation. So, unless you know that there's not going to be nudity or sexual explicit, I think you need to keep your children at home. And I think that adults should be able to walk around other adults in an adult environment at an adult event, however they choose. So I think that those lines need to be clear and not blurred. And for me, that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? And then also for me, the prides that I've been to here and the ones that I've seen, and I haven't seen any in person, but the ones that I've seen like online or what have you, pride seems to be centered around gay male entertainment. Which is fine as that's what you like, but as a lesbian, I don't want to see naked or half naked men. I personally think that lesbians need to have our own pride. And I'm not saying that they need to do away with pride, but I think that I think actually the whole alphabet needs to have their own pride. You could be one, combination pride, but I also think that each letter should have their own pride because each letter likes what they like. You know what I'm saying? But I am a keen dichotomizer, so that is what it is. But also, the inclusiveness and the togetherness and the families of the alphabet really isn't what it appears to be. It really is more group related and clique related because you would think that the alphabet stands up for the alphabet. And that's really not the case. They hang with the gays is going to support the gays, the lesbians are going to support the lesbians, the bisexuals. Unfortunately, they're kind of the stepchildren of the alphabet because of how people perceive them. Um, I guess a lot of them want them to pick a side or what have you, but at the end of the day, it seems like they try to get in where they can fit in. But there's not like a cohesive union. And I'm not mad at the gays for having gay centered entertainment. But I also think that if you're going to have a combined pride, everybody needs to be represented, and everybody typically is not. And I'm not asking them to change their way of doing things. I think that we should create our own situation. Ooh, excuse me. So, I do think that with everything that's going on and with the clashes between the alphabets, the gay alphabets, that there is a divorcing of the different cultures instead of coming together. They're being more separate, and I will do a separate video on that regarding the great gay divide, right? But I haven't been to Pride since before the pandemic, and I didn't like the way that it was the direction which it was going. And at one point, for me, it seemed like the gays, and when I say the gays, I'm talking about all of us at this point, the LGBT, were gaining respect. We had gotten the fact that we could marry, we had human rights. We had human rights. But then a shift turned in, I think, perversion crept in. And I don't know if it's because of social media, because of, you know, the clicks and views. But I've seen video footage of them chanting, "We're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children." And I'm thinking, what the fuck is you talking about? That's not what being gay or lesbian or bisexual or pride was supposed to be about. We're not coming for nobody's kids. And then I've seen videos of men that's out in the parade. Excuse me, y'all. My allergies is about to act up. Uh, walking around with their tallywhackers out. And again, Lester, I'm like, okay, at an adult event, they should be able to walk out with their tallywhackers hanging out. But I think that once they see the children was there, they shouldn't have. But then I also want to say, well, the parents shouldn't have taken the children. But then did the parents know that the tallywhackers was going to be out? See, I personally just don't want to be involved in that. Until they make stricter regulations where no children are involved or no children are there, and there's a clear line. This is an adult event. Keep your kids at home. I just don't want to be a part of it. Now I will say that here in Missouri we have Sunday, and Sunday is for the children, and it's typically the crowd is typically a fourth of what it was, because it's children, parents there with their children, and they have children events, they have singing and dancing. It's not really adult centered at all, and I can respect that. I don't know. I just, like I said, I have disassociated from the whole pride events, the whole alphabet in general. But again, I'll talk about that on the Great Gay Divide. But in my opinion, pride is not what it used to be. It has evolved into something that I feel in most cases is inappropriate, because people are trying to prove a point as opposed to just hang out and have fun. I've seen it where you have pride, and you think that if you speak to everybody, that, and for the most part people are happy. But I've had people turn their nose up at me or roll their eyes, and I'm like, all right, well, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck you. And I don't have time for that. So I think it's evolved. In my opinion, and this is not including everybody, but in my opinion, at one point, I think the gay guys and the lesbians were good friends. And I think in most cases, in some cases, that still is the case. But it's kind of shifted to where the gay guys really don't like the women. I don't know if they feel there's a competition or what. And then we know when the T's got in the beginning, it was kind of cool, but then that evolved into something kind of not healthy. And like I said, the bar, it's just, I don't know. I don't know. I think it needs to go back to being, I don't know. It's changed. That's all I'm gonna say, is that it has changed. But that is my opinion from what I've seen here, Kansas City, and in other prides online. I have seen just the different activities or what have you. But comment and let me know what pride has been like in your city. Have you seen it evolve over time, or is it pretty much the same? If you're a lesbian, do you feel that there's lesbian centered entertainment for you, or is it just centered around gay? Do you have a lesbian pride in your area? Comment, let me know, tap in, and just let me know what you think. Because I know everywhere is different and people are different and what have you. But let me know what you think, and I'll talk with you in the next video. Salute, salute.